This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Absolutely live at the stroke of 9. Rupa Bhullar, the authoress, is in studio, and this is her novella, The Indigo Sun, which has gone into the Nielsen HT list. And she's going to tell us what number it is on right now. Hi, Rupa. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, good morning. I'm doing very well today.
So tell me, what number is it on the charts?
This week it made it to number 3 on the best-selling list. So very fortunate.
The number 3 bestseller on the Nielsen HT list of books. How awesome is that? We're live on 94.3 FM on the radio, if you're on a radio set. We're also streaming live audio around the nation on www.onecast.in. That's numeral 1cast.in. And only if you're not driving, statutory warning if you're in the back seat of a chauffeur-driven car or a radio taxi, or you're at home or at the office without a radio set, then we're streaming Facebook Live on facebook.com/radio1.mum. That's radio1.mum. Okay, lovely book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I'm given to understand that you're not an author. It's not as though you've always been an author. You were director of finance at a leading global corporation. You're also a CFA, which is a chartered financial analyst, and you have a postgraduate diploma in business administration. So, right brain thinker, left brain thinker. What are you?
That's a tough one. But yes, I think this is one of my passions, and that's more of a practical reality. Grew up in finance, kind of took it forward, but then at some point, I think it was the thought of just writing became very compulsive, and I think I've always been a creative person. Ended up in the wrong field.
But you still hold a day job, or have you just dived into it completely? You do.
Yes.
So the day job is still finance?
That is still finance. Yes, that is correct. Hopefully, I'm transitioning. This is my retirement plan in the making. But yes, I do work. In fact, when I was writing this book, I tried to time myself with the weekends. So it was not easy to make it happen. But it was very compulsive. And like I said, I just had to do it. And I thoroughly enjoyed the process.
Well, the principal protagonist in Rupa Bhullar's The Indigo Sun is Maya. And the story transpires in Rajasthan. So, big fan of the desert? How often have you been to Rajasthan? And is it Jaipur? Is it Pushkar? Whereabouts do you go, or where else?
Yes. So, I actually spent 2 of my childhood years in Jaipur for a fact, and that's something that's in the book as well. But yes, so that, started my love relationship with Rajasthan, and I think I've always been very fascinated, by the culture and the place and the colors, and so it always was very compelling to me. So when the story started out, so 2 years I was in Jaipur, and then just before this book happened, right before I started writing this, I made a trip to Jodhpur, and that was my first trip. I have not been to a lot of places that I mentioned in there, like Bikaner and Pushkar, but I did my research online, and so that's more of a projection, based off my imagination. I do hope to visit, but yes, primarily Jaipur and Jodhpur are the places I've been.
There's a lot of spirituality in this novella. I mean spirituality not in a religious kind of way, but in a mystical, poet, Sufi kind of way. So that obviously has also been a parallel interest somewhere along with the writing and the fiction. So talk me through that one.
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head. That is actually true. That I think my inclination was towards philosophy to a great extent. And just because initially when I thought about writing down my thoughts, they were all very focused around, observations of life, your own thought process, sort of an inner finding. And so when the thing started out from that perspective where you're looking and questioning life, I think the story kind of, fit around the edges, but at core it is a spiritual, philosophical book. And that's always been one of the big things with me.
Sister Sledge, we are family. We're going to kick it off with some disco. Back in a couple of minutes with Rupa Bhullar, the authoress of The Indigo Sun. Sister Sledge, we are family at 8 minutes past 9 a.m. Rupa Bhullar is in studio. She's the authoress of The Indigo Sun. Part philosophy, part fiction. A wonderful tale that takes you through Rajasthan and the life of a lady called Maya. Okay, We're streaming live online across the nation, audio on www.onecast.in. That's numeral1cast.in. Of course, on radio sets on 94.3 Radio 1. And now going live on facebook.com/HRISHIKY. That's HRISHIKY on Facebook. Only if you're not driving.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
So here's Maya, your protagonist in the Indigo Sun. And she, in effect, comes into Jaipur to find herself. A lot of people will ask you whether it's autobiographical or not. Why should I shy away from asking you that? See lots of yourself in Maya?
Absolutely. And I see a lot of myself, and I think among a lot of people who surround me also, when they get to a certain point in their life, I think a lot of people are dealing with the same questions, but to a great extent, I do relate to Maya a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The same question being, without giving too much of the story away, the fact that, we're all broken in certain pieces in certain places, and during life, we're all trying to find elusive happiness. But sometimes you don't need to search for it, right? So tell me the core philosophy of the book.
I think the core philosophy of the book is, happiness really isn't outside, right? The thing that we are sold throughout our lives, that you gotta get to a certain career in your life, a certain place in your life, you get married, you have kids, you do everything as a checkbox, and that's supposed to be like the golden thread, that takes you to a place which is going to deliver happiness, but doesn't happen. What happens for a lot of people is that happiness is very subjective, it's very individual, and I think it is an internal process of discovering happiness. It's not something that's attained. It's something that is within you, but you just kind of need to explore it and kind of figure out where your happiness lies. So I think that is the key philosophy. It's different for every individual, and in Maya's case, as she finds out at the end, it was within her what she was searching all along through the journey.
Correct. And obviously, just like in life, you keep meeting people who reflect a lot of what you are onto you. And you can either learn from it or not. I find the character of a little boy called Ananda very fascinating. So tell us about what Ananda does for people who haven't read the novel.
Yes. So Ananda, he's a little boy who is oblivious to the external life. Like, he's a simple guy, but with a lot of wisdom grounded, in everyday life and everyday experiences. And for a person to come in and have simple conversations, he just shows her a different facet of life on how he goes about it, how he takes things and how he perceives them. So he will give these one-liners which are, which kind of really hit you and make you look at life very differently. But because he's young, there's a little bit of innocence combined with wisdom. And that's his whole character, and it's a special character to me as well.
And it's wonderful because he writes emails to somebody he calls Hukum, who is actually his friend, philosopher, guide.
Yes.
And also his father, who not only works as the darban in a hotel, but also makes toys, so the learnings from people like that.
Yes.
Do you believe that, you need to have, I wouldn't say a guru, but just somebody who helps you tread the right path? Or can you do it on your own?
So I think, again, it's different for different people. I think a guru or a person that you can learn from can show you the way. And there's a line in there that says, people can tell you what to do, but learning is something that happens on your own. So I think it's a mutual process. You have to be looking for it, and you have to be, when you start looking for it, you can find it and you can absorb it. And people are always showing it to you. I feel there's so many teachers that constantly surround us, but a lot of us are not open to it. We're not looking really. So.
Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take Start Me Up by the Rolling Stones and go into some messages, and when we come back, more conversations with Rupa Bhullar. You might want to go pick up the Indigo Sun. It is an on-ground as well as online stores. Also, if you have any comments, I'm happy to read it out on air. One space, you comment and name to 53650. 53650 is the in-studio SMS line. On Twitter as well as Facebook, you go to the search bar, you type HRISHIKAY, will pop up. You could tweet out your comment or question. You could post on the timeline inbox. Happy to bring it up. And facebook.com/radio1.mum, our official page. There again, drop a comment or question in the timeline inbox, and I'll bring it up with Rupa Bhullar. Start Me Up, Rolling Stones, and see you in less than 10 minutes.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
My guest of the day is authoress Rupa Bhullar. The Indigo Sun, a mystical fiction novella, is out on all online as well as on-ground stores. It's a story of Maya, who discovers herself, living part gypsy-like and part the regular life in Rajasthan. We're streaming live audio across the nation on www.onecast.in. That's numeral 1cast.in. We're live on video only if you're not driving, if you're in a radio taxi or at home or office without a radio set. Right now on facebook.com/radio1.mum. That's radio1.mum. And of course on your radio sets on 94.3 FM. There's also a bit of the royal glamour touch in this. They always say that, the Indian equivalent of a fairy tale ending for any girl is, meeting one of those Rajasthani princes and falling in love with him or her. And part of Rajasthan's appeal lies in that, isn't it?
Yes.
The large palaces and this and that. So in that aspect, in the Indigo Sun, along with the simplicity of village life, there's also the principal protagonist being a little enamored by the regal splendor of the prince. Talk to me about that.
All right. Yes, that is actually true. So I think when you think of Rajasthan, I think what naturally comes to your mind is a lot of heritage, palaces, lavish. It's just, what Rajasthan is very representative of. But yes, I did try to balance the two sides of it, the on-the-ground reality with that. But with Maya, there's certain characters, I think, which are getting promoted through the idea of her being enamored by that prince. And I think it's just a little bit of the royalty, the polo, all of those things, which I think I found very interesting, and they kind of stuck with me. So I tried to project those in the most charming way I could. And as far as the the character, the prince that you mentioned, Veer, goes, I think he's a personification of all the qualities that I think I look up to in a human being, and which is very... again, when we talk of our heritage, I think all of those things about, appreciation of fine arts, and now especially like going back, giving to the society, that generosity, all of those things are, I think, very traditional values for us. And people who maintain them kind of, come down to that level. It just happens to be that he's in that place and time, but I think it's more of the values and the projections and the lifestyle that I was trying to balance.
The real wealth, yeah. And also, what's the story about small town India without some mystics and gypsy women and things like that? So, there is almost like a seer, a soothsayer. There's a gypsy woman who's espousing some kind of philosophy. There's also a bit of Sufism there. So talk me through some of those characters.
Yes. So again, I find it very enchanting when I see these things, because it is again a very Indian thing. Like when you talk to people, when you grow up, so I've lived, so many years in the US, and it's very rare that you'll come across somebody like that, right? But in India, it's people will talk about it very matter of fact. You'll run into people like this every so often. So it's a part of who we are, right? And it's not something that's prevalent everywhere. So I think for me, it was very... it's fascinating for me. I love to talk to such people. I love to hear what they think, how they process. So I think I just had that touch of mysticism in there for that reason. Sufi philosophy, I personally have a very soft corner for. So I think I've read a lot of Sufism, and it's not a religious philosophy. I would say it's a state of mind. It's very much like the Zen. So the Sufi and the Zen part of it is, again... pulled out. Yeah,
you've quoted some Rumi in there.
Yes. Yes.
Who's one of my favorite poets. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's where that comes in. Okay, we're going to do the Counting Crows, Mr. Jones, and back with Rupa Bhullar, The Indigo Sun. That's what she's authored. More conversation right after this. We're live at 9:30. All right, countdown there. The Counting Crows, Mr. Jones, at 34 minutes past 9, absolutely live on 94.3 Radio 1. It's Rupa Bhullar with me, Hrishi K, talking The Indigo Sun, her novel, which is out, and we're streaming live on live video on Twitter as well as Periscope at HRISHIKAY. For those of you who want to listen to our audio live across the nation, it's www.onecast.in. That's numeral 1cast.in. And here we go with more conversation with the authoress.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
So I noticed that every single chapter has, a quote at the top of it.
Right.
And somewhere when you start reading the chapter, you know that there is a linkage between the two.
Correct.
And sometimes in the middle of a chapter or during the course of a chapter, there's another quotation. So I know that you like your quotes. So the reason you picked out a few of them,
Yes.
and must have been a difficult process whittling it down, because there's so many poets, thinkers, philosophers who've said stuff that has resonated with you. How do you know the right ones to put in the book?
I think it many quotes, like you said, right? So it was overwhelming, but I would just stumble upon the right one as I was going through my writing process. I would, sort of just entirely just stumble upon it. There's quotes that I save, and then the quotes that I googled. So it was really that the right quote came with the story. So it wasn't too difficult.
Come on now, pick a few of your favorites and also explain the significance of them as far as the Indigo Sun is concerned.
Yes. Okay. So with the opening chapters, not entirely in the order of my favorite list, but just a few, just to give you an idea of what's contained in here. So one of them, which is very elemental to this book, is not what we have, but what we enjoy constitutes our abundance. And what that really means is...
And who's written that originally?
That's by Epicurus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a philosophical quote again. But really what it makes you reflect on is, the core definition of abundance that I talked about, which is no matter what you gather, it's really the small things, and it could be just watching the rain, it could be having a cup of tea. So how do you define your abundance? It's in what you really enjoy. So I think this was one of the quotes that kind of resonated with the theme of the book entirely, rather than just a chapter. There's another one which is my personal favorite, talking about favorites, which is by Rumi. Lovers don't finally meet somewhere, they're in each other all along. And this is the opening quote for the chapter where Maya meets Veer. And really what this kind of signifies to me is that when you love someone, the reason you fall in love with someone, because it's an outward projection of what you have within you. So, you always have that person within you, and when you find it in the outer reality, you end up meeting. But basically, I think that's just a physical manifestation of what was already
Yeah,
within.
manifestation is the right word.
Yes.
It's an outward manifestation of what you feel inside.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else?
Another one would be something different from, we talked about love and abundance. It's about authenticity, I would say. This is by Oscar Wilde, and, be yourself, everyone else is already taken. This is one of my core philosophies. You do not dilute, you do not compromise on who you inherently are, because that's one of the very key aspects of happiness in life.
You must have noticed this now that you live in the US.
Yes.
And you've lived there now for a considerable period of time, and that most people who are fractured in some kind of way, and I mean like a soul fracture, they tend to get into counseling and try to get into the deep core of why they are fractured. Whereas the Indian philosophy is just more about what will be, in the sense that it is destined.
Yes.
And you live in the moment, in the present moment.
Yes.
And Maya in that aspect is very Western, because there is no doubt that she's fractured. There's a tragedy that has occurred. Yes. And she's coping to deal with that, and she's dealt with it in the Western ways.
Yes.
And all of a sudden she comes here and she embraces Eastern philosophy.
Yes.
So was that a dichotomy in your mind too, now that you've lived in the US for so long?
Absolutely. In fact, I feel that that's very, very prevalent. And, I have a friend who is also a psychologist, and, we would have these conversations, right? And what you realize is that in the West, people are based on fixing, the outcome or the issue, right? They think that, solving that, but it's not healing, right? There's something in here that says you can, apply a Band-Aid, but, and you can, but healing is something that has to happen from within. You can't make it happen on the outside. So I think they are very peripheral on the issues. They think medication can fix it. But Eastern philosophy, which Maya eventually integrates into, it's a way of life. It's a state of mind. It's a process that you have to go through, rather than just saying that, I'll have this quick fix which is going to make my problems go away, because it's really just a manifestation of the problem, So I think Eastern philosophy is much more holistic. It's mind, body, soul that we all know about. it is coming to the West also in a certain sense that people are progressively adopting. They see the merits, but I think as Indians we've known it all along, and that's what we've done. And people are just discovering it out there.
Correct. And it's passed on, it's handed down from generation to generation. Our grandparents taught it to our parents, then eventually us, and what we teach our children. Okay, a last opportunity for you to get your comments, your questions in. At the end I will read them out, so feel free to drop in a comment on text, on SMS, one space your comment and your name to 53650. 53650 is the in-studio SMS line. On Twitter as well as Facebook, you go to the search bar, you type HRISHIKAY, verified handles, and a page will pop up. You could tweet out along with your name, post in the timeline inbox along with your name, and facebook.com/radio1.mum, our official page. There again, a comment or question on the timeline inbox along with your name, and I'll bring it up. Last leg of conversation with Rupa Bhullar in less than 10 minutes. We're going to go into Break Up Every Night by the Chainsmokers and then take some messages and come back. We're at 9:41. I'm Hrishi K. Celine Dion, One Heart, live audio across the nation at www.onecast.in. That's numeral 1cast.in, online on your radio sets on 94.3 on the FM band right here on Radio 1, and now streaming video live on at HRISHIKAY on Instagram. So check out HRISHIKAY on Instagram to check that out. A last leg of conversation with Rupa Bhullar. The Indigo Sun is her novel. It's on Amazon, on all on-ground as well as online stores. Like I said, part mysticism, part philosophy, and a fair amount of fiction. Last leg of chat and also your messages.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Thank you very much for shouting out. Ankit Desai, good morning. Devraj Singh, Jasmine Khurana, thank you very much for that lovely poem of yours, and I promise to reply very, very soon. Amrish, super day, amazing conversation with author Rupa. I like the gems of wisdom you guys are throwing in now and then, and grains are grains. What do you mean by grains are grains? You mean my voice? Thank you very much. That's all genes. But thanks, buddy. Puneet Tripathi, to do something you have a great passion for along with a day job is really remarkable. Hats off, Rupa Bhullar. So, thanks very much. So, what next? Wherefore from here? I know that you're working on another novel.
Yes.
Is it going to be like this? So you're going to break the mold? What can we expect?
I think I have a high-level thought process in mind. It's going to be different from this book for sure. This was more of a rushed, just getting it out there that's been sitting too long. The other one, I think I want to take my time with. I would like to travel. I think it's going to be set somewhere, parts of it in Calcutta, parts of it hopefully I think Lucknow, and maybe some Italy in there. It's going to be so there's few things that really are very compelling to me. I love to think about, introspect about life, which is a lot of this book. The next one I think would be about love and what it really means. Not as heavy on philosophy. I think I got my fill of it on this one. And I'm sure people have to for a while.
Well, I'm very impressed. I mean, if this is a quickie, then I don't know what you're going to come up with when you take your time over it. But will the boys complain is a big question. And by the boys, I mean the husband as well as the two boys. She's a mother of two. Rupa, though she doesn't look at the mother of a 16-year-old. Because my writer friends, when they travel alone. They like to just get that backpack on and, go from Airbnb to Airbnb or hotel room to write. And I imagine you're off that mold, isn't it? You can't have a Gargrihasti side at one side while you're writing. Or do you manage that?
So that was actually very interesting with this book. As I say, my mom used to joke that you should write a book about how you wrote this book, because it was a very interesting process. There was no utopia for me where I could say, okay, now I'm in my writing zone. So it was always work and kids and home and conflicting demands. So it was total chaos, and this happened. So what you're talking about is wishful thinking for me at this point, honestly. If I do travel, it would be very quick and limited. I think it would be limited to a few days in each place, just to get my fill. Like the Jodhpur trip was really just 3 days, and I got enough on it to fill in a few chapters. But there will be travel for sure, and it is hard to compartmentalize. It's hard to say that, okay, this is my space. Like in the older times, authors would just take to the hills. Yeah. It's hard to do that today. But the next book is going to be based on a few things, and the boys hopefully should be a little more prepared.
Like it or not, mommy's going to do it. So anyway, you said Lucknow, you said Italy.
And Calcutta. Oh my God, those are all my favorite cities. The Nawabi Andaz of Lucknow. Yes.
the language, and of course Cal. Oh my God,
Yes.
people just talk about Delhi being, the fact of the matter is, because Calcutta, now Kolkata, was the capital of the British Empire even before Delhi, it has such a wonderful mix of both colonial era, not just in terms of building, but also in culture,
Yes.
and the modern era,
Yes.
and it'll be wonderful. And of course, the home of romance, Italy. So this should be fun.
This should be fun, yes.
Okay, Rupa, before you go, will you give out your coordinates? Is there a website, or is there, where can people reach you, or what are you on social networking? Is there an author page? Yeah.
Yes, so I am on Facebook and Rupa_Bhullar. I'm also on Instagram, Rupa_Bhullar, and I have a website, rupabhullar.com. You can find me any of the places.
Okay,
I hope you
it's-
enjoy reading.
Yeah, BHULLAR. That's what it is. Yeah. Listen, take care of yourself and a safe journey back to Jersey. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Bon Jovi, keep the faith. 10:01. I'm Hrishi K.